Mother's Day is coming up this Sunday, May the 11th, and I wanted to share 3 pages from Recovering Our Love, which is one of my more unique romances that surrounds a married couple who have experienced 2 miscarriages. So I'm going to read an excerpt, like I said, 3 pages. This is about Nina and Chase. I hope you enjoy this, and I also wanted to let you know that I personally have had a miscarriage and I know what it's like. I also know that it is not something that has to end in a detrimental way. And I hope that if you have experienced a miscarriage, that you can find comfort and peace. And I would love to hear your stories of the ways that you have found that peace and comfort and the ability to continue to move on. So, with that said, enjoy this excerpt from Recovering Our Love. This is under my pen name, Christina Ryan. He nodded and left her to work the numbers. After a few moments, she finished balancing everything and stood to go. A silver-framed wedding photo of them caught her eye. She moved closer to the bookshelf and traced a finger across their smiling faces. When was the last time they were that happy? Back then, it seemed anything was possible. Their dreams alive and strong, a family waiting for them with open arms. It was hard to believe they had ever been happy. She dropped her hand and looked away. "Everything's good," she called out to Chase. "See you next week." Chase stopped through the swinging door between the kitchen and living room, his mouth open as though he wanted to say something but wasn't sure how to say it. She bit her lip, her body turned partway to the door, and she wondered when this turmoil would end. So many moments of their time together were filled with suppressed feelings and uncertainty. She turned to face him. They stood staring at one another in what must have been the most awkward silence of their years together. She'd already broken her promise to herself not to look at him. It was as if a magnet pulled her to him. "I want you to come home, Nina." Amazing what looking back could teach you. The post-miscarriage season, as she called it, contained periodic moments of silence and a gradual diminishing of prayer and church-going, which led to an inevitable strain on their time together. She couldn't go through that again. "We should have seen this coming. Why didn't we?" she said. "What do you mean?" "Nothing's changed. I can't come back to this place, not like this." "Nina, please, I know it hasn't been easy. I know we have to work through things. Apparently, our marriage reached a breaking point this year. I'm not sure if our relationship can ever be put back together again." He stared at her as though she punched out his heart. But she hadn't forgotten what happened the last several months when she tried to talk to him. He heard her, but he didn't listen to her. His responses always came with an unspoken disclaimer that if they just kept going forward, they would be just fine. Her body tensed as she tried her best to temper her frustration. "I can't get past the miscarriages, and it hurts me that you don't seem to understand that." Going forward meant forgetting their lost ones, at least in her mind. "Nina," Chase's hurt voice softened her. He seemed hesitant, confused, frustrated, his mouth opening and shutting as he tried to gather his thoughts. He was out there hustling as a realtor while she spent her spare moments reminiscing on what she believed should have been. Perhaps throwing herself back into editing would help ease her constantly anxious mind, help soothe the painful corners of her heart. Immersing himself in work was helping Chase, wasn't it? Even though he looked more tired than usual, he seemed to have it together, whereas she felt like she was falling apart. She wanted to ask him if putting all those hours in helped take his mind off things, except that would mean reopening the wound. As far as she was concerned, it was scarring over, slowly, but still scarring. She didn't want to risk refreshing the pain. Keeping oneself busy could definitely be the very thing she needed. Maybe then she could spread everything out into a mental spreadsheet and find a way to deal with the heartache. "I know how hard it's been for you, Nina. I want to be there for you." Nina nearly scoffed at that, anger whipping through her like a tornado. How could he say that after everything he'd done? She shook her head, feeling heat rising into her face. "You're always too busy or at work or finding anything to distract you. Maybe you can deal with our problems like that, but I can't." She was fuming, but holding the anger back was impossible. What good did it do to pretend she was okay? The silence turned harsh, stifling. A pained look stretched across his face. He took a few steps toward her, stopping just short of her. I'm sorry. I just don't know what else to do. She closed her eyes. The same words he said in the past. They didn't help. They didn't soothe. They didn't erase the pain. When she looked at him again, he stood there fidgeting. Would things ever change between them? Would they always be stuck in limbo like this? I hope that you've enjoyed this excerpt from Recovering Our Love. If you are a mom, I hope that you have an amazing Mother's Day on Sunday, and I look forward to meeting with you again for another live session.